All right, welcome everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Apparently I missed the memo, as did my kids, about wearing green today. My kids off at school, and so consumed because yesterday were my twins, a bunch of cupcakes, and I was consumed about the taste. Do I have the hats? Do I have all their birthday stuff? And everybody walking by, kids at the preschool, was wearing green, had St. Patrick's Day stuff, and I'm, oh crap, that's right, it's a holiday. So my kids were the oddball today. So let's get things started here. Let me get rid of Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube. So couple things to announce. So we have another a conference that's coming up. I'm going to be promoting that, putting some stuff up about that soon on the Facebook. It's another one of those conferences. I'm curious, is anybody here on the call, any of the people who went to the motion conference? If so, just unmute your mic and say, hey, I went. I don't remember. I don't think anybody here. I think they were all part of the class that crashed our last meeting. Okay, no one did. So, all right, well, hopefully everybody that went had a good time, a bunch of stuff. All right, good times. So I don't think there's anything else we need to announce. I don't think there's anything else going on. Just trying to get through the pandemic. Is that true? Okay, I'll take that as a yes. We don't have anything else going on. So, I guess without further ado, we will just kick this meeting off. So just to kind of give everybody a heads up, what happened, we originally had a presenter that was supposed to present. He's going to present next month. He had to cancel. And he literally canceled, I think, like last Thursday or so. Just he's kind of work, and hey, that's a good thing to be right now. So we told him, no problem, feed your family, get work while it's there. So we kind of put together a meeting here real quick. And it actually works out because there's a lot of cool stuff that I'm going to show you guys tonight in Premiere. It's sort of like what we like to call a catch-up meeting. There's a bunch of new features that some of you might have heard about, some of you may not have heard about, or just don't know that's even there and kind of curious about how it works. So I've got a little list right here of stuff. So I'm going to go through it, and if you have questions, I'm in. Everything worked in rehearsal, but I guarantee you there'll probably be at least one crash tonight, just because that's the way my day has been going. So just fair warning on that. But without further ado, let's kick this thing off. So I think Premiere is up already. Yep, it is. So let me share my screen. I don't know that I need any of this stuff up right now. So, okay. I think I am in Speed, which is the thing to be. Let me share my screen. Share sound. All right. Can everybody see Premiere?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, good. I'm going to minimize so it doesn't take a lot of screen real estate for me. Okay. All right. So I'm going to kick things off with what came in. So some of this stuff this is stuff that's been released over the last like 6 or 7 months. It's been a while. For those of you who are regular attend meetings, once you kind of do these meetings where we kind of pull a lot of the new features that have been shown. I know a lot of this stuff's online. You can watch like the little cool videos that Adobe puts out, but sometimes seeing it in person and being able to ask questions about it and saying like, hey, how does this work at that point? We can do it right here, and I can kind of show you how it works. And hopefully we can questions about it. So like I said, some of this stuff you heard of, but we'll work through it. And I know is public yet, and we'll get to, you can kind of see how that works, and it's pretty cool. But all right, so we're going to start things off with the scene edit detection feature. So for those of you who use Resolve, you know that this is there. I don't know if Final Cut has this or not. Anybody who uses Final Cut 10, you can tell me whether Final Cut has this feature or not. But scene edit detection basically will take your video. This is a video that I have here. It's a promo piece that I put together trying to land a job with an agency, and they said, hey, do you have a video that's like this? And I said, no, I don't. So I went out that afternoon and shot something, edited it together, and submitted it as part of my bid. And so it's just a little video that kind of, it's basically Balboa Park. But what scene edit detection will allow me to do is to go through and break up the video into individual shots. So you can kind of see this is pretty much a cuts only video. I'll play just a little bit of it. But you can see this is a video, it's got a lot of cuts. So if I right click on this, I'm gonna choose scene edit detection right here in the menu. And if I click it, it's gonna give me a dialog box. And I have three big choices here. I have apply a cut at each detected cut point, create a bin of subclips from each of the detected cut points, or create a clip marker at each detected cut point. So 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna want the apply a cut at each detected cut point. But if you wanted to, you could also at the same time create a bin full of subclips. So it'll take all the clips that it cuts together or that it pulls out and make a subclip for each of them and put in a folder for you or in a bin for you. So if you wanted to use those, like a work case would be, if you were going to use a bunch of these shots in different timelines, let's say you had 4 or 5 different sequences going and you wanted to use those, use those clips and spread them out over 4 or 5 different sequences in a project, that would be a good thing to have. And you didn't have to be cutting and pasting from this one clip. So having all those subclips would be great, or whatever else workflow you use that requires subclips. And then create clip marker at each detected cut point. If you wanted to have those, if you wanted to make notes, you could, or that was part of your workflow, you needed to have just those markers on there for someone to see. That's why you'd use that. But I'm just going to do the apply a cut. And if we click analyze, it works relatively quick. I mean, this video is not that long. It's only 1:30 or so. And you can kind of see in real time how it works. And watching paint dry while it's working. I'm going to try to see why I'm not getting audio on here. That's really bizarre. You are sharing sound from your computer. I don't think I am. All right, so now we're done. So you can see it cut everything up. And if I play it, you'll see the cuts line up just where they show. I will say, one thing I've noticed is if you have transitions in there, for instance, resolves and things like that, sometimes that's a little wonky with it. For instance, at the end of the video here, I do a cross dissolve to the Balboa logo, and you'll notice that it didn't really catch that. So that's one place that you might need to go and fix that. So, but it got everything else. It worked, it's pretty much dead on. So, yeah, so that is a handy feature. Now, the obvious work case or work you would probably want something like this would be if you were doing color correction. If somebody handed you a video and said, hey, I want this color corrected, I want to send you the entire project, they could just send you, a form file, and then you can you break it up like this and correct each shot. I've actually done that. I have a color grader that I use up in Hollywood, and when I send him stuff, sometimes I'll send him the whole project, and other times I've actually this file, and I know in Resolve he uses this feature to break it up and then color grade each shot that way, but easier. So that is that is scene edit detection. Before I move on, if anybody has any questions, just go ahead and unmute and let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next thing here, and I'm going to undo that. So, okay, no questions. So next thing I'm going to show, again, it's a little thing. It's really not that big of a deal, but some of you might not have known. If you see this little button up here now, we have the quick export feature, which is a handy feature if you just need something out. I know that this menu or this dialog when it comes up when you export stuff can be a little confusing. What the hell is all this stuff? I just want to export my video out. I want to get it on YouTube or send it to a client. I don't want to mess with all this whole thing. You can just come right up here to quick export now. And this is right now currently just set up to do H.264 files. And so you can choose where you want to save it. And then you've just got these presets, which are pretty basic. It is your match source, high bit rate, low bit rate, and then your high quality 4K, HD, 720, and 480. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, these settings sort of equate to if you use like the YouTube preset inside the media export dialog, the settings will all be comparable to that. Same with the match source. So yeah, so for how good a quality will it be, that kind of gives you an idea. So I believe the YouTube stuff for the 4K, I think it's 20 megabits per second, and the HD is 16 megabits per second. I forget what it is for the SD. And then these I think are 10 or 12, I forget. I'd have to look at it, but anyway, but it's decent quality. And like I said, it's a great thing if you just need to spit a clip out real quick and you just want to, keep moving not have to worry about it. So, so yeah. The quick export button now is a really handy feature. So let's keep moving. So let's go to the next thing I want to talk about, which was media replacement in mogrts. So I have a mogrts here. So first of all, I'm curious to know how many people use mogrts on a regular basis.
I do. Yeah, through UCSD, they make me look so cool.
So one of the things they just added, which is actually a new feature in the latest drop that just came out, is the ability to replace media inside the mogrts. So I've got this mogrts right here, and I've got a picture there in it. So I'm going to go to my graphics interface. And this mogrts is a free mogrts. If you go to the library, you can actually get a lot of free mogrts from Adobe. I was surprised how many free ones they had.
Sorry for the dumb question. What's a mogrts?
So good question. That is not a dumb question. So for those of you who don't know, a mogrts is basically an After Effects graphics file that has been kind of self-contained into a file. It's a motion graphics template, mogrts. And with this file, this has everything you need. You can make adjustments to it. I can change the text. I can change the background color. Somebody basically created this in After Effects and then saved it out as a mogrts with customizable properties. And if all I had on this machine was Premiere and I didn't have After Effects, I can use it, and I can still go in and change different things. So over here in the Essential Graphics panel, for example, there's a tab for text, and you can edit the text here. This says media replacement text. Let's come back down. There's the edit text 1, edit text 2. And so I can change the font size, or the font, the size, all different aspects to the text here if I want to. But what you really haven't been able to do is if you have media, a picture or graphic or video inside the mogrts, you couldn't really replace that. You would still need to go back into After Effects and change it there. So to answer your question, Bob, a mogrts is basically just an After Effects project, sort of self-contained into this one file. So now though, with this media replacement feature, so I've got this picture here, bonus points to everybody who knows where that's from. If you should, because I've asked it before, it's one of my all-time favorite movies, but I'm going to replace it with another one of my favorite characters from cinema. And here we go. I'm just going to drag this image over here now. This is all I got to do to replace it. And I'm going to move it down a little bit. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's undo. I wanted to move it down a little bit. Helps if I know my X and my Y. Let's move it down a little bit. And there's Godzilla. So I've replaced the map from Time Bandits with Godzilla. Now, if I wanted to, I could replace this with video as well. I mean, I can literally take this, where was the, let's see, not that one, the timeline I just had. Let's find it here, scene edit detection. If I wanted to put video in there, I can take this sequence and just drag it over, and boom, there's my video. And now let's say, this mogrts is only about 8 seconds long. That video was 1.5 minutes. If I wanted to adjust what part of the video played here, I can come up to this little window over here, click reveal in, or I'm sorry, open in timeline. I'll click on that. And now you can see here, this is my timeline, and I can adjust it to see where that open place is. Right here is what's going to play in the mogrts. So I can say, okay, I want the mommy looking, with the ducks and the dogs. And so if I come back over here now, you'll see that's what's queued up to play in there. And right now, probably over Zoom, this isn't going to play too well, but yeah, you can see. So now in order to do this, again, the project, the mogrts has to be set up inside After Effects to allow for this to happen. And maybe in a future meeting, we can talk about how to build a mogrts and how to include something like this. Maybe DJ, that's something that we can add to this year if people are interested in that. But yeah, mogrts are, I have hit and miss. I'll be honest with you guys. I have hit and miss luck with mogrts. I just did a project with a client, and they gave me a bunch of mogrts that were all, I'm on, as everybody knows, I'm on Windows, and somebody on a Mac created these mogrts. And for the life of me, these did not work on my system. And we eventually got it worked out. But yeah, it was kind of hit and miss. But like Mark was saying earlier, they are a really great thing, and they can be a total lifesaver. I use them for lower thirds all the time. To, you can either buy mogrts online and customize them with stuff, or create something in After Effects and then bring it in, and then just use that over and over again if you have a ton of lower thirds that you need to create. So yeah, mogrts are a great tool, and this media replacement is a really cool thing if you're going to be dealing with graphics and logos, and you want to use the same kind of graphic background and just swap out people's pictures with text that comes up on screen. I'm actually working on a project now where it's a lot of what they call quotes. And so this side of the frame is a picture of somebody, this side is all the text building out. And so yeah, create a mogrt where it's a different person who comes up and all the text comes on. And so I'm not having to go in and create that custom, do that every single time. I could have a template that's already made up to do it. So that is media replacement in mogrts. So any questions on that? All right, I will take your silence that you either can't see what I'm doing because it's blurry, or you have no questions. Let's go on here. I'm going to let's go back to my workplace here. Okay, so this is just a quick little thing because it's been improved. Let me find, where is it?
Hey, Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Have you found a site that's best for mogrts?
So Adobe Stock has a pretty good selection of them. Envato, I think, is one that I've checked out before as well. DJ, do you have any?
I'd say about the same. They kind of fall into the same place where you would get your templates to begin with, and they kind of have some of the same drawbacks that they can be a little wacky. But yeah, I mean, I would go with the ones on Adobe. Everything that I've seen from Adobe has been really good. The ones from Envato, like everything on Envato, hit or miss.
Well, the ones I found have not allowed me to expand text. I have to type within what they have constrained. Are there mogrts that expand out as you type text that's longer than what they have constrained?
You can do it. That's one of the problems. So I don't make a whole lot of mogrts just because for reasons like that, a lot of times it's just easy. It's just about the same amount of work unless you have just a ridiculous amount. Just because little things like spacing and everything becomes kind of a weird issue. But that said, you can do the same kind of, you have to put the expression into After Effects that then, figures out the length of the lower third based on, the text length and that kind of thing. So it is possible. And I think most of the ones that I've used from Adobe, I've not used that many, but most of the ones I've used from Adobe have done that. Envato, I like Envato. I have a subscription, but yeah, they're always kind of hit or miss.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, that was one of the appeals of the mogrt was that they added that feature to be adaptive, and so you should be able to have that functionality because I run into that same problem when I buy templates, just like After Effects templates off of different websites. I always get some guy with some corporate title that's like, dear God, how can you have this long of a title? Nobody should have this long of a title, and it never fits in that space, and so you end up like shrinking the text down or. Yeah. So, but yeah, I remember Adobe was real big on the adaptive text and being able to do that with mogrts. And so that should be out there. Okay. Getting back to Warp Stabilizer. So this is a quick shot of me. For those of you who follow me on social media, I've been working on my Steadicam skills. I have yet to really master it yet, as you will watch by this shot. I still have a long way to go, but I'm working on it. But the point of this is not to show you my lousy Steadicam skills, is to show you that Warp Stabilizer has been improved. If you add Warp Stabilizer now, oops, somebody wants in. So let me come up to my effects, type in Warp Stabilizer. I'm just going to add it here. Now, so it's starting to do its work there. But the thing I wanted to show you was down under the Advanced tab, you have a new button that says Fast Analysis, and by default, it's checked. Warp Stabilizer now has this fast analysis feature, which is it analyzes your clip up to 4 times faster than it normally would with comparable results. So it's a great, it's a great speed up for when you're trying to get stuff going. And, I haven't really compared it yet to turning it off and turning it on to see, what the results are. I know I've since this thing has been released, I've only used it on a couple clips, and so far everything has looked really good. But I do notice that it does speed things up. And so, it is a good thing to have. And one other note on Warp Stabilizer, something just sort of point out about this, while it is really sort of feature rich inside Premiere, and there's a lot of stuff here, we could do, a good half a meeting or at least 20 minutes on Warp Stabilizer alone, because I think most people just sort of drop it on and go and kind of take whatever it gives them. In After Effects, Warp Stabilizer actually has a few more things that you can change in there. And so a suggestion that I would have to you is, if you are using Warp Stabilizer in Premiere, you're having some issues, you're not getting good results, come in and make some adjustments to it and see how things look. But try taking it over into After Effects and see if you can get better results there using some of the more advanced tools that are there. Warp Stabilizer, like I said, most of the time it hits it out of the park. This shot is a little wonky. You can kind of see there's a little bit of wobble there. So I probably would want to play with the settings here, but there's Pat Espinoza following me. If I was a real Steadicam op, that'd been super smooth, but I'm not. I'm a wannabe. So anyway, but the point of it is, you've got now fast analysis, which again, 4 times faster. So that is a great little addition. So, and keep in mind, you can always take things into After Effects if you need to. While I'm here, I was going to show you something else, something that's kind of interesting, and it's kind of like a little time saver. So I'm going to get rid of Warp Stabilizer, and I'm just going to set some keyframes. So I'm just going to come here and just set some keyframes here, and let's just zoom in a little bit, and maybe, let's do this. Let's reset that. Let's do a position keyframe there. Let's just move that maybe there, just because. So you can see I've just added some keyframes there, but the reason that I did that is I wanted to show you this new feature down here. You've got this filter properties down in the bottom of your effects controls window. So if you click on this, you see right now it's set to show all properties. But if I click on show only keyframe properties, now watch, like the rotation, the anchor point, the anti-flicker up there will all disappear. It's only showing me the motion properties that have things that are keyframed. So if I just wanted to focus on those and not get worried about all the other stuff or hit something wrong, this sort of simplifies that for me. Hold on one second. I just handed my car keys to my 4-year-old son. That probably will not end up well. Hopefully my wife will recover those from him. Okay, moving on. So it gives you just those to focus on. I can also click show only edited properties, and that will show you a couple more things here that are set up for the things that have been changed. But I found one really nasty bug today when I was clicking on this one. I tried to adjust something. I'm not going to do it now, but I clicked on one of the filters here, and it literally completely crashed Premiere with the serious error thing. So I reported it to Adobe, so hopefully that'll get fixed. So point is, when you're in these different modes, just focus on the things that you've actually got keyframes on. Don't try turning the stopwatches on or off. Otherwise, it could go bad. But anyway, very handy little tool there inside the effects controls window. While we're up here, let me come back to the scene edit detection, just because that one has audio. Again, don't really need to hear this, but we're going to talk about a little bit of audio. So you can always cut and paste between clips, but you were never able to cut and paste inside the audio track mixer. Now, if I add let's just say I'm going to add let's just add a notch filter there. I can right click on it and choose copy track effect, come over to the other track and click paste. So, and I can do that for all my different audio tracks. So if I set up one track to have all the effects and all the settings that I like, I can easily just copy and paste that onto all the other tracks. Now, the thing that's kind of a bummer, and I'm not that big of an audio guy, so people who are audio geniuses might kind of be like, yeah, that's not a big deal. But to me, it's kind of a big deal. And hopefully this might get fixed in the next one. But let's say I add a delay over here. So if I've got 2 here, let's say I just want to put the delay on this one. If I right click and choose copy track effects, I can't choose just the delay effect. If I go paste, it's going to put everything there. So, I mean, I can easily just go in and turn that off and it leaves the delay there. But if I had a bunch of different effects on there, that's, kind of, not what I want. So, but hey, that's better than nothing. For the longest time, you haven't been able to do that. And so I'll take what I can get here and hope that they sort of refine it in the next release. But, and again, I'm not an audio guy. I have a good audio mixer who takes care of most of that stuff for me. So, but that is a handy tool if you do use effects in the track, at the track level, being able to cut and paste between the different tracks. So that is that. What was I going to talk about next? Oh, let's go here. So I don't know. I'm curious to know how many people are shooting with ProRes RAW. Anybody? Wow, nobody. Okay, well, maybe nobody cares about this, but if you do, we have the ability to use ProRes RAW now inside Premiere. The effects, the source settings are pretty limited. It's pretty much exposure. So I can adjust the exposure on this, and it always seems to take a little bit on that first move. And then after that, you'll see it really start to come down. It's much more responsive. But yeah, you only have the exposure and you have the color space to work in here for ProRes RAW. Unlike red, if you use to red, and it's got like every control imaginable in there. So yeah, there we go. It's looking pretty good. But yeah, so you have the ability now for ProRes RAW. You do have to, if you're on Windows, have to download a special plugin from Apple to be able to do that. Otherwise, Premiere will give you a little error saying, hey, I can't read it without the thing from Apple. But yeah, ProRes RAW, and it plays back pretty good. I mean, this is a 4K ProRes RAW file, if I'm not mistaken. And you can see it's playing back pretty good. So it handles it pretty well. But one thing I was going to mention, now let me open up something here. Might need to actually share more of my screen. Here's my drive. So they changed some of the terminology for things. This was literally changed. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to reshare. Oops. Let's do this. So they renamed some of the things inside here. So for instance, master clip is now source clip. Master clip effect is source clip effect. Master styles of styles, master graphic, source graphic, and so on. You can see that in some of in Audition as well, master gain is now just gain. The enhanced speech male is now low tone, or in the female is high tone. So these are just more inclusive terms that they've decided to use. I know there's something that got cut off here, but for instance, they used to have what they called the blacklist of GPUs that were no longer really good with Premiere. That's now the block list. But yeah, so as you're working, you start to see things are named a little bit different. If you're looking for something and you're like, hey, that's not what it used to be called, this is why they've renamed stuff. So that's more of just a little bit of information. So let's go back to sharing Premiere. All right. So what's next on my list? Oh, so one other thing, handy time saver. You come to the export settings. There's this new feature here, use proxies. So I'm curious to know, are a lot of you using proxies? Nobody's using proxies. Okay, well, for those of you who do use proxies, I generally use them if I've got higher than 4K footage, for instance, 6K, 8K, or 12K if you're using the new Blackmagic camera. I do use proxies on occasion. And when you go to export, proxies will, excuse me, proxies will let you, use proxies will let you use those files and reference them as opposed to trying to go back to the 8K, 6K, 8K, 12K footage. So it will speed up your export. It is a pretty handy feature to have. It's only to be used if you are doing something that's like for a client review and it doesn't have to look all that good. Because let's face it, I mean, if you use it sometimes, especially if you use H.264 proxies, the quality might not be all that great. So yeah, but it's a handy feature. It definitely speeds things up. So, okay, the one thing too, and I don't have anything to show for this, and I'm gonna plan on doing this at a different meeting because it's something we can deep dive into, but HDR. I don't know if anybody in the group is doing HDR, plans to do HDR, but if you do plan to do HDR, Premiere can now handle two forms of it, ProRes HDR as well as XAVCI HDR. So I thought about trying to show something here, but I don't have an HDR monitor. I don't know how well it would really come through. And HDR is such a complex sort of thing. Like I said, I don't know how many group members are actually using HDR. If that's something that you would really like to see and be of interest to you, let me know either, in the chat window or, email me or whatever, let me know. And maybe we can put a meeting together to kind of talk about that. But, I just don't know how many people are really at this point taking advantage of that. So, oh, and then the final thing before I get to a couple more demos here in Premiere, for those of you who have been booting up Premiere over the last few versions, you've probably seen an error message, or not an error message, a warning message that says your use of this plugin is just, it could be obsolete future version. So you should really switch. Those plugins are not obsolete. They finally removed a number of plugins. Most of them, if not all of them, I believe, are audio plugins. I think it might be the video, but in particular, the chorus, the flicker, the decrackler, the de-esser, the de-hummer, the that one always gets me. The denoiser, the dynamics, EQ, flanger, multiband compressor, phaser, pitch shift, reverb, and spectral noise reduction. If you use any of those in your projects previously or had presets set up with them, you're probably going to get a message when you boot up in 15.0 of Premiere, which is what this is, saying that no longer exists. It's kind of a bummer just because I had a number of great audio presets built around a lot of those things that I've had for years and have been extremely helpful. But Adobe did replace all of these with new tools. They're just updated and more powerful and more current. So, they are there. You can use them. But yeah, just be aware if once you boot up Premiere and you get that little message, you'll be like, what the heck? Where is this? That's why they're old. And it's not like they didn't warn you, people. They've been telling us for the last like 3 or 4 or 5 versions now that these things would be obsolete. All right, let's get to this caption and subtitles. So I will tell you, as somebody who's been using Premiere for a long time and had last year, right when the whole pandemic hit, I got a call to do a caption, it was basically a subtitle project, and I had to do close to 60 videos. It was like 3 videos with 14 different languages. So whatever that math is, somebody times that out. But anyway, I got SRT files for all the different languages, and dealing with the caption Premiere was a nightmare. And I've said publicly and privately to Adobe that they needed to read this, and I wasn't the only one. And now life is glorious because this is vastly, vastly improved. I'm sure some of you may have seen these demos, but if not, you get to see it here. So I've got this video here. Normally you'd be able to hear it, but for whatever reason, it's nothing. So just trust me, there's audio. And I've got this SRT file here. And so into internet is unstable. That's weird. I bet you everybody's gonna say it's blurry all of a sudden. So I've got this SRT file. I'm going to drag this down into my timeline now. And it's going to give me this new dialog box. And it says new caption track format. It gives me options here. I have subtitle, and then I have a number of different caption formats. For this, I just want to do a subtitle. So I'm going to leave it at subtitle. Now you'll see down here my start point. I have source time code, playhead position, or timeline start. So I think that's all pretty self-explanatory. Normally you would want to probably do timeline start if it's an SRT file, since it would time out better. See, use those other ones in other cases. So we're going to do timeline start. I'm going to click OK. And boom, there is my captions. Now, I know what you're thinking. Those captions are wee bitty small. Yes, they are. It is so easy to fix this now. It almost makes me want to cry after knowing what I went through last summer. As if the pandemic wasn't enough, I had to fight Premiere with captions. All I have to do is highlight all my captions. There is now a captions workspace. I'm going to click on that. And it is going to open this up. And you can see over here, I have all my captions listed here. But more importantly, the central graphics panel now has all the tools that I need to change them. And it is glorious. So before, you were limited in fonts that you could use. Now all of the fonts that you have in your system are available to choose from. You still have this dialog box for where you want to put the caption or the subtitle. I can choose turn the background off. I can change the shadow off. I can do whatever I want, but we still haven't fixed the problem. It's too small. Not a problem. All I have to do is increase the font here. Probably not that big. Let's just dial that back. Let's say we like that right there. So boom, done. Now let's say I want to make the background red because I'm crazy. And I can adjust the, the opacity of that. And, I can adjust it, make it a little bit bigger if I want to. Again, I can play with all this stuff is right here. It's all the normal graphic tools that you're used to are right here.
Is that only in beta?
No, this is in the release version. It is out right now. You can take advantage of this. So yes, it is. I can't even tell you how happy this makes me because I fought that stupid caption project. So yeah, there were multiple calls to Adobe. But anyway, so yeah, and I've got now, if I want to change something, let's say there's a misspelling or they get a word wrong, I can either change it over here by just double clicking. And now I can change it here. I'll just add a little space in there and you can see it's updating over here. And, or if I don't want to change it there, hey, I like to change stuff right on the screen. I can just come over here and change it right there and boom, and it updates in both places. So that is the new caption workflow. The other thing too is I can search for words. So for instance, if I wanted to search for NIPT, which is what this video is all about, you can see in my captions, it's highlighting all the places that it occurs. I can choose to replace that word. If it got NIPT wrong in here, let's say that whoever gave me the SRT screwed up, messed it up, I can go in and replace that and fix it. You can see right here, replace. I can go and find all the different places just by using these up and down buttons where it occurs. And if I wanted to, I can come over here. I can, let's say I make a bunch of corrections to it and I need to send this corrected SRT file to another editor for them to use. I can export out the SRT file right here. I can also export out a text file, which would be kind of like a transcript file of everything. And that would just save it out as like a plain text file. So yeah, you do have those options to export out once you change all this. So very, 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 very cool.
Excuse me, Eric.
Can't tell how excited I am about it. I am super excited because that has been literally a pain point in Premiere for years. So
if you export the text, what does it go? Does it go out as a Word document or how's it go out?
No. So good question. It literally goes out as a plain text file, a .txt, which you can open up in Word and then, save it out as a Word file if you needed to. But it will just save it out as a text file. So, and that is something I'm going to kind of talk about later on. That's like a suggestion that I have for them. Because yeah, I think it would be good for options there, but it could be a licensing thing. I don't know if they don't want to start messing with Microsoft and having to export out a Word doc. I don't know. Adobe doesn't want to pay for those rights or whatever. But yeah, it is easy to just open that up in Word and then save it as that. So so that is the new caption workflow. Anybody have any questions on that before I get to the next big thing? Cool. All right. Now, this is going to be kind of crazy because you can't hear anything, but it probably would help if you could. So transcript creation. A lot of you probably saw the video that I posted up on the page about transcript creation. It is just an amazing thing, and I'm going to kind of show you how it works a little bit more and what you can do with it. It would help if you could hear, so I apologize, but just trust me if I'll tell you if it's not working. But this is a video I put together for my business that kind of talked about what we were doing during the pandemic. It's me talking here. So, so what I'm going to do is make a transcript of this, and the easy way to do it is I can just go up to Window and go to text. I can go back to the caption workflow window as well. It's basically just going to bring this window up. But right now, I'm going to transcribe this sequence. Now, I already did it during the test. You can see it over here, but just ignore that. So here's the dialog box that comes up. And so here's what we need to know. So for audio analysis, you can choose all the clips that are just tagged as dialogue. If you don't know what that means, That means if you open up the essential sound panel, you can go through and actually tag different audio clips as dialogue. You can do music, sound effects, ambience, you can tag all these things so the Premiere sort of sees them that way. And what you can do here is just say, hey, everything that's tagged as dialogue, just analyze. Or you can do audio on track. You can choose mix, which would be everything, or just choose a channel. I've found when I've done mix, it doesn't always seem to be, it seems to take a while, because I think a Premiere has to sort of process everything and sort of, especially if you have music and sound effects and different things in there. So at this point, and again, this is still sort of in beta, this isn't for public release yet, so I think they're still working on it a little bit. I found that just choosing the right audio channel where you have all of your stuff that you want transcribed makes it go really quick. So in this case, it's on audio 1. So I'm gonna choose that. Language is English. Transcribe in point to out point. I want the whole thing. And so I'm gonna click transcribe. And please God, let this work. So, so yeah, I had one little issue earlier today, but it usually works fine. So it's gonna upload and then send everything. Now, while we're waiting for it, so this is about 3 minutes, and it's going to take about 2 minutes to get it all transcribed. One thing, I just put this through its paces quite a bit. I had a project that I just wrapped up for a place here in town, and I had about 10 videos I needed to transcribe. Normally, I would have sent those out to rev.com and had Rev do it, at $1 a minute. I did everything with this, and it came back with an accuracy rate of, I would say, between 85 and I would say 90 to 100% actually. There were just a few words that got wrong. So, and it worked great. It worked really, really well. There was just a few words I had to go in and correct. For instance, there was one point the person was saying palms, like the palm of your hand, P-A-L-M, and it got it as P-O-M-S, palms. So I was able to search and replace palms, throughout the video every time it got it wrong with that, and so that worked out really well. But yeah, other than that, it was fairly accurate. I mean, there's a minimal thing. So, did somebody have a question?
Yes. So if I'm doing man in the street, will background noise, traffic noise confuse it?
That's a good question. I don't think it'll confuse it, but it might take it a little bit longer in the processing. So yeah, I haven't really tested. That's one thing I haven't tested it against is bad audio. All the audio that I've been using with it so far has all been really clean. I've been testing with accents, people who talk fast, people who talk slow, to sort of put it through that way. But that's actually a really good test to see, and I should try that tomorrow to see how that does with a lot of background noise. So yeah, I don't know. I will test that tomorrow. Actually, I have a perfect video to use for that. I just shot somebody against a fountain. And that, don't get me started on, but yes, the fountain was very loud. Isotope helped me reduce that, but I will run it through without the filter on it and see how it does with that fountain background. So it's all done now. You can see here, it's there's my transcript, and I can tell you, I know you can't hear it, I'm sorry, but I can tell you right now that this is all correct. It nailed it all right now. So it got it all right. And it's the same thing if with the captions, I can go in and correct it if I need to. I can come up here. I can choose to export out as a transcript. Now, this is one thing I haven't been able to get an answer on, and I got to reach out to my Adobe folks about this. A cost. Good question, Bob. I will get to that in a second. Export transcript. When I click on that, it gives me, okay, crap, you can't see it, but it gives me a dialog for PR transcript. I have no idea what that is yet. So I will dig into that and find out what a PR transcript file is. But if I do click here, you do have export to text file, which will create the same thing as the captions would, where it's just a plain text file. Yes, I turn the audio options on when sharing my screen. So yeah, sorry, David. I don't know what's going on. It's just not working. So it exports out the text file, and it just basically creates just a literal transcript of everything. The thing that I do and that I'm requesting, and I'd be curious to know what other people who work from transcripts do. Time code differences. So normally I did a transcript with time code every 60, every 30-second markers, so that when somebody takes that transcript, they create a script from it, they have those time code references, so I can easily go through and reconcile and build together a video cut from their paper cut, essentially, on the script. So I would love to be able to have the option to say, when I export out, that Premiere will create a transcript that markers every 60 seconds, 30 seconds with time code, so that client, the writer whoever is taking that transcript, they can put those in to help me build that first rough cut or string out. But yeah, you see here, it's got speaker 1. I can click here, edit speakers. I can change the name. So I can say Eric, click save. You can see I can add speakers if there's more speakers there. If it thinks that it's all me and there's multiple people speaking, I can change all that. But one of my favorite parts, and I showed in that video before, is, once you get all this done, and let's say it says, okay, we need subtitles for our video, no problem. It's literally create captions. I want a subtitle and style. Basically, you can create different subtitle styles. So let's say, kind of like I was customizing it with the red background and yellow font and, with different whatever. You can create those and save them, and then you can choose that style here. And if you wanted to, but basically I'm going to create a subtitle, create from sequence transcript, click OK, and boom, there it is. And it's all there. And so now all my subtitles are done. My captions are done, all from that. And I can go through just as I did before. I can, if I don't like the way this looks, I select them all, go into the essential graphics panel, make the changes to the font or whatever, and I can change everything universally at one time. So yeah, that's pretty stinking cool. Maybe I'm the only one that thinks that's cool. To answer your question, Bob, about cost, I don't know at this point. They haven't announced what the cost will be. I don't think I'm breaking any kind of NDA to say that Adobe has sent surveys out looking at what good costs would be for things like this. But they haven't really announced a price yet. Because I'm part of the program that gets to pre-test this stuff, I'm not paying for any of this right now. I assume that's going to change. But rev.com, which I think is what a lot of people use, is what, like $1 a minute. I use a professional transcription service up in Hollywood that, which gives me literal verbatim. It's like a person doing it themselves and making sure that every word, is there. That's between $3 and $4 a minute. So I'm guessing it'll either be somewhere in the middle, or it could be, it's Adobe with their amount of people that would be using this. They could probably be even less than $1 a minute. But I mean, either way, you bill it back to the client, and, but yeah, I would assume it would be somewhat more economical. I don't know yet, though, is the answer to that question. Is the beta? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I missed the part where you pulled up the text window. Where is that?
The text window. Oh, if you go to window and then text.
Okay.
So yeah, if you open it up now, so again, I have the ability, because of the program, I'm in the pre-release for this, so I can do the transcript. But yeah, if you that's one way to get it up, is to do window text. But also, if you come over here to let me close it out, the captions workspace, which should be up in the workspace bar. If you click on that, that will open it up as well. And if you don't see captions in your workspace for whatever reason, just click over here and go to edit workspaces, and it should show you all the different workspaces, and you can kind of move the order around and bring them up higher, or however you want to do it. So Jeff, is the beta apps download, or do you need to get the beta from Adobe? So if you go to the current beta drop, that feature to do transcription isn't in there yet. It's right now, it's just a limited number of people that have the ability to do it. I don't know if Adobe's going to open it up anymore to other folks yet. I have no idea when this is going to be released. I honestly don't. I hope it's soon, because it's such a game changer kind of thing. But yeah, you can't unfortunately use that in the beta apps right now. So
One other question on that, Eric.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the captions, is that creating a sidecar for closed captioning, or is that like subtitles that would go right on the screen?
Good question.
So video.
So yeah, right now the way it's set up is it's just titles are just. However, if you come back up to your text window, you've got them all right here. If you click on the buttons right here, export, and you can create the SD sidecar file.
Okay.
You said currently the exported transcript doesn't include time code refs. Yes, Jake, it does not, unfortunately. That is something that I am going to really push Adobe on. I don't know if when this thing gets released, they will have that in there. But for my workflow, you know, it's great that I have a transcript, you know, just to be able to give to a client or to do this for subtitles, whatever. But if I'm going to create a script from a transcript, you know, I really need to have those time code references in there. So yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't have it right now. But again, this hasn't been released yet. It's still sort of in beta. And so hopefully, you know, that's something they can get thrown in there either when it releases, whenever that is, or, you know, in a soon. Let me see, go back and see if there's any other questions here. We're losing captions on export. They would disappear. Marcy, is that something with my demonstration that's happening to you when you work? Maybe Marcy's not here. Oh, when we work. You can turn your mic, see.
Sorry, I couldn't actually.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that the captions would just go away?
Yes. We would see them in Premiere, and then in the export, the file would have no captions.
So, okay, that's not with the latest version in this new workflow, correct? That's with the older version of Premiere?
Yeah, yeah.
So there was a version, and I don't remember how many versions back it was, but there was in a version where, yes, if you exported, I think, were you exporting via Adobe Media Encoder or through Premiere directly?
I want to say Media Encoder because we were, excuse me, doing multiple versions.
Yep. So yeah, there was a version back where there was a bug because I noticed it on that big nasty caption project that I was working on, and they got it fixed. But yeah, if you send out to Media Encoder for whatever reason, it spit out the captions. For whatever reason, it just didn't do it. But if you did it directly from Premiere, then it would. That has since been fixed. That's updated. So, you know, if you're still seeing that, I would just recommend updating a newer version, and that should fix that bug. That bug has been fixed for.
Okay, well, excuse me, try it again.
Any other questions on this? Feel free to just turn on your mic and ask.
So you say they'll charge for it. Will it be? Do you think it'll be? I know when they had this before, it was pretty expensive. So you think it'll be cheaper this time?
Well, so actually they didn't charge you before. In the old one that they had, like in CS4, based off technology that would just sort of, it was part of it that would do the speech analysis and then create it. So you weren't, as I recall, and this has been a long time ago, but as I recall, actually pay for that. It was all built in Premiere. The problem is that it wasn't very accurate. You know, I actually got decent results from it on projects, but there were other, I just went off the rails. And a large part of that was you had to have pristine, clean audio and somebody who spoke very slowly and clearly and used good diction in order to be able to get like good results from it. If you had somebody that spoke like I'm speaking right now, it was 50-50 on whether you were going to get good results or not. So this is completely a different system. The reason Adobe got rid of that last one was because the licensing ran out with the company they were licensing the technology from. They felt it wasn't that great. And they honestly felt that not that many people were using it, partly because it wasn't that great. You know, and so they just kind of ditched it. I still have an old version of CS4 that has it. And every once in a while, I would throw something in there just to sort of see how it would work if I needed a very quick transcript. But yeah, so this is completely different. This is all built off AI and it's a much better system. So, but yeah, I like to get back to the cost. Like I said, I have no idea what it's going to cost, but I have to assume that it's not going to be outrageous and it's going to be very competitive to what you would pay to other services out there.
This is a game changer for us at work.
Yeah, it literally is. I mean, I hate that phrase. I feel like is so overused.
It is,
you know?
but it is.
But this is literally, yeah, this is a game changer. Because yeah, Jeff, you're a lot like me in that, yeah, I've got to create captions now. I mean, anything going on social media needs captions now, and so people are asking for that. And yeah, just the ability to do everything in here and get it that quick. I mean, dude, I used to spend half a day doing subtitles, cutting and pasting from Word into the titler, into Premiere, lining it up. Oh my gosh, I hated it. It was just mind numbing. I mean, yeah, I billed for it, but I just want to move on to get to the next thing. This is just like, yeah, it's game changer.
Yeah,
It totally
this
is.
huge. Thank you.
Anything else from anybody? All right. Well, I think that is all the stuff I had on my list to show. I'm going to double check here. CNN detection, we covered that. We covered that. We covered that. We covered that. We talked about that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else I have on my list. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I will turn my camera back on, and hopefully I'm blurry because it'll be a nice filter for my tired face. So anyway, any final questions?
I have a question that is not related to what you're discussing tonight.
That's fine.
But oftentimes, and I'm updated with everything Premiere, oftentimes I'll turn off my computer and the next morning I'll open it up again and all the workspaces are gone. Everything I've memorized for my own personal workspace is gone. I have to recreate it. Anybody else have that problem?
I have not seen that. So all the workspaces are just completely gone?
Yeah, I saved Gruber workspace, for example, and
Okay.
I have everything arranged the way I want it to be arranged. And the next morning I'll come back. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen maybe once a month. It's gone and I've got to recreate everything again.
So I would say about that is you could check all those files are saved. Is this on a Mac or Windows?
Windows.
Okay. Good man. So all of those files are saved like in your documents folder. There's a preference folder somewhere or file is created somewhere that has all that. I would look into wherever, where that is being saved on your system and make sure that it's not being overwritten or that Premiere doesn't, for whatever reason, doesn't have access to it. Because that all should be saved somewhere.
Is that a default folder somewhere
yeah, there should be. Let me share my screen again here, and let's see if we can sort of see where that might be. Here, I'll go back to Zoom here. Share screen. So, is it in project settings? I don't think so. I think it's actually in preferences. Sync settings. Sync settings would be for your cloud stuff.
You don't have to spend a lot of time with it. I just curious.
There is. I know in your, let's see if I go, let me stop sharing here. Let me see one other thing here. Let me just do my screen. Okay, so in your documents folder, I think, you click on Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm trying to spitball here. There is a spot somewhere like in one of these folders.
All right. Where
it has all, like there's a file that has all that stuff saved and layouts maybe. Yes, there it is. So those are all my workspaces. And you can see that workspace is updated. So yeah, like here's today. I updated it today. So you can see the file, written, well, just a couple minutes ago. So yeah, this is actually in your documents folder, Adobe Premiere Pro version profile.
Right,
layout.
but how would I direct Premiere to see that?
So it should be seeing that automatically. So I guess what I'm saying is I would go and make sure that these files are there and make sure that they're not being overwritten or that that file doesn't, that it's not locked or something like that. Because Premiere needs to be able to write to that folder. And if that folder is getting wiped out or it doesn't have access to it, then that could be part of the problem. I'm trying to remember if there is a preference here in Premiere. And I'll look into it offline and see if I can figure it out. I don't think it's sync settings, but it might. Preference settings, workspace layouts, last sync unknown.
That's okay, Eric.
Yeah.
I'll figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into it and see if I can figure that out too. Why it wouldn't be but it should be saving all those.
All right,
Premiere
great.
have
Thanks.
an INI file?
Say what now?
Does Premiere have an init file, an INI file?
That's a good question. I don't know. It might.
Because if it has that, then that may be maybe a path and that got corrupted.
Possibly. Yeah. Any other questions? And at this point, any other Premiere questions? We've got some extra time here. We wrapped a little bit early.
Did you record the meeting, Eric?
Yes, I did.
Cool. Okay. So I
Eric,
missed the
while
first
we're
part
on
of it,
this-
it's tied up.
Thanks, Jeff, because I just like, wait, did I? And then I always remember I got to set it up. I have it set up to record it all the time.
Okay.
So yes, Bob, go ahead.
Yes, on the subject of workspaces, it seems that, well, maybe you can give a little tutorial on how to clean up and set up your workspaces. It seems to me that a Premiere seems to like to consider you've got one big screen and you have to move things around. That I've got 3 monitors and I would like to have my program monitor be dedicated to one of those monitors, but I seem to have to move that around. I can't make it full screen and all that. At least that's how I'm interpreting. Am I missing something, or is that really the way it works? And is there a better way to clean up your workspaces to match your physical environment?
So yeah, you should be able to. So a couple things. First of all, nobody likes a braggart that you have 3 monitors, Bob. Just saying. The rest of us are slumming it with 1 or 2. But no, I'm just kidding. But no, but seriously, so you should be able to set it up to where with 3 monitors, what you could do is so yeah, you kind of have a layout just looking at what's behind you right now, similar to what I have at the office. So I have 2 monitors at my office. I'm gonna say I'm on my laptop right now, but the monitor that's on my left is just my bin, so I can see all my clips. The second monitor is just my timeline, my effects control window, source window, and program monitor. And if I had a third monitor, what you could do is just spread out. If you wanted to use that just to sort of as a playback monitor, just to sort of see what you've got, you should be able to just pull the Premiere kind of across, set up your windows the way you want, pull it across the 2 monitors, and don't put anything on your third monitor. And then if you go inside Premiere, let me share my screen again. I'm going to share Premiere here. So if you go inside Premiere, you go into your preferences, you should have a playback setting. And under there, it should list out your different monitors here. So if you have 3 monitors, you should see each of your monitors here. And what you can do is say on monitor number 3, I want playback to go to that monitor. And so you can click that box, click OK. And then if I'm not mistaken, and I used to have this set up and I haven't had it this way in a long time, but I'm thinking it should still work. Whenever you play back, that third monitor will become your playback monitor. Essentially, like I have a TV, monitor in my office that I have a card that goes out to it, and it's all that comes out is playback. And that would make your monitor that as well. So
okay, I'll check into that. It's kind of like, I remember somebody says, well, how do I get multiple monitors in Zoom? And you have to go to a separate box someplace as opposed to just dragging that to another spot on your master screen.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, I have 3 monitors as well. And as Eric says, you go into playback and preferences, and it shows boxes for each of the 3 monitors that I have. My big program monitor is number 1. So I check that box. And when I close out preferences, now everything that I play in program goes up to that monitor.
Okay, thank you. I will look into that. Trying to figure out which one of all these menus to find that stuff in. That's why I asked the dumb question, because somebody's bound to stumble on the right answer.
Well, it's preferences, and then playback.
Just remember, Bob, there are no dumb questions. There might be some dumb answers from me and from maybe DJ, but I guarantee you there's no dumb questions. So, I mean, I always tell people, I always go back. I remember there was a meeting we did years ago, and I won't say the group member's name because I don't want to embarrass him, but I know he's not on the call tonight, or the meeting. But yeah, he is a pretty good editor. I mean, he's a guy that edited some big stuff. And I remember just showing in a meeting, I didn't even make a point to do it. I just used the tilde key to go full screen. And he's like, and he stopped me. He goes, "Hey, wait a minute, wait. He stopped the meeting. He goes, "How did you do that? What did you just do?" I said, "I just used the tilde key to go full screen on that." And but again, I think as editors, we kind of get stuck in a workflow. We do things a certain way. And when you see someone else work, sometimes, you're like, "Oh, wait, how did you do that? Because I never do that." And that's why I always encourage people to,
I'd like to
watch
see a
edit
meeting
work.
on that, because a while back I had to do some rotoscoping, and I think I asked you and DJ some suggestions, and fortunately you had some ideas. There's still some grunt work that had to be done, but I know so often, I know for myself, I wind up finding something that works, and I fight it, and then, as you say, somebody says, "Oh, you didn't know about that key?"
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, meetings like tonight, I think are hopeful, or I hope are helpful to people. Cause I mean, some of the stuff you might've known about, some of it you might not have, we're all different places and we're all busy with stuff. And so not everybody watches every video that comes out of Adobe on a daily basis. Not saying that I do that. Right. I do, but it's good to know this kind of stuff and get reminded of like little things that are there that you might not know about or workflow. So
Yeah, I'd like to see have a meeting that says, "Here's how I do it." Have everybody watch it and say, "Wait a minute, that's not the easy way," or "Thank you for showing me that."
yeah, no, I think that I would, when we get back to in-person meetings, and dear God, please let that happen sometime soon. DJ and I have talked about that as like having a meeting where people can kind of come in and just sort of, where it's like all of you to kind of come up. I'll give you a laptop, you can use mine, bring a project in, show me how you work in your project, what your workflow is, just because, everybody does things a little differently and it's good to learn from each other. So.
Yeah, we had that one meeting where you had something, you had a whole group of people at it, and we broke up into teams of 3.
Oh yeah.
And it was fascinating to see how each group did something differently, and some were easier and some were harder and some were more. Anyway, it was just fascinating.
Yeah. No, that was a fun meeting. We're definitely going to try. So a meeting idea, just to throw this out there to people that DJ and I have talked about, is we've been wanting to have a meeting about Premiere Rush to get people familiar with that, because for those of you who don't know about Premiere Rush, it's a great tool to use on a mobile device. You can use it on your desktop too, for just like slapping stuff together super quick if you don't want to get into Premiere for whatever reason. And but we would think talking about doing something like a Saturday meeting where we could do kind of the same thing. We would all film stuff on our phone, back in, we learn how to use Premiere Rush, and then everybody kind of cuts it together there, either on phone or work as a team with someone else on either on a laptop or whatever, and then kind of show it and make it much active. So hopefully, again, we ever get back normalcy, we can do meetings like that. So any other questions from me before we wrap it up here?
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for showing up, Bill. Good to see you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, folks. Well, if there's no other questions, Jay, you got anything left?
No, I think I've said everything I needed to. No, seriously, thanks for putting it together. There wasn't a whole lot of time, so you nailed it, and you'll always be in focus to me.
Aw, thanks, man.
But no, it was fantastic presentation. Good job.
Hopefully my wife and kids will say that to me. Hopefully I have a car left. So just so everybody knows, like my wife like sent me a text and said, "Hey, can we have your car keys?" And then my 4-year-old son showed up. I'm downstairs in my wife's office. My son showed up. I handed him the keys, and now it's completely quiet in my house. So my kids have driven away with my wife tied up, or I don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, we'll see.
Enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like, and there's no food in the house. So I can't even leave to go get dinner now. I always get screwed.
People bring you food now. There's like a whole
Isn't the brigantine open?
Yeah, but dude, I ain't walking to the brigantine.
Have the brigantine walk to you, DoorDash, Uber Eats.
Oh yeah, I guess I could. Yeah, I'm not hip enough to do that. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for coming. And next month, BJ, do you want to preview next month? And hopefully we'll have Dave here and tell us who's coming.
Yes. So Dave, a guy I've known for years, he's started out as an editor, moved into motion graphics, then kind of, I'm gonna say, led the team at Vitro on the side of kind of an ad agency here in town. Then moved over to Taco Truck Creative. He can put together pretty much any kind of video project. Dude knows what he's doing, and he's good at turnaround time. He's good at, being able to hop onto a brand because, when he was over at Vitro specifically, like, I worked with him on a few projects and you're jumping from brand to brand to brand with very short timelines. So he's going to talk workflow. He's going to talk about that kind of, that world. And he's probably going to throw in at least 1 or 2 lines to dunk on me. So that should be worth a hoot.
Well, that's good. And last thing I'll say before we completely sign off here, I posted up on Facebook about this, and I know we don't have like a big representation of the group here, but we do have enough people on here to where I kind of want to ask. So I posted up something about doing a meeting that would be like design 101. So just to sort of give you background on this, if you didn't see the Facebook post I made, I am not, DJ has skills that I will never have when it comes to like design and when laying out graphics and doing things like that. And to be honest with you, I'm at a point in life where I don't really care. I'm very content with that. But it would be good to know what fonts go with what color schemes are best, what best is the way to lay out things on a page that's most pleasing. Sort of a design 101 class, just to sort of make graphics when I have to do them on my own a little bit better, so it doesn't look kind of, like a 3rd grader did it. And so I guess I wanted to put out there to the group, I've had a couple people have show some interest in possibly presenting on it, but would that be helpful to a lot of people, is like having somebody come in and just talk about, when you're using fonts, here's the things you need to keep in mind. When you're laying out graphics on a page, here's the things to keep in mind. When you're mixing colors and, doing things, here are things to keep in mind. Not like a total deep dive, like we're all going to be graphic designers at the end of it, but just something to help you when you're putting graphics together in a video, to give you just a little bit of sense of what's pleasing and what's acceptable looking, and what's just going to look like mishmash. So is that something that people would be interested in? If so, either let me know, respond in the chat, or go ahead and turn your mic on and say, yes, please, dear God, make that next month's meeting.
Yeah, that would be great.
No, that type of thing is interesting, Eric. I remember one time I attended a presentation on fonts, and basically the whole thing was discussing the difference between the serif and the sans serif. And she was talking about how people have difficulty reading. And if you use serif fonts on long lines of text, it allows your eyeball to do a mental carriage return a lot easier. So that if you're going to have long lines of text, use a serif font. If you just got a few words of title, then you want to use the sans serif. And it was something I think they discovered in looking at people in prisons that had reading difficulties. It was largely because they were trying to read text that didn't have the serif on it.
DJ, what was it that you just showed?
So this was recommended to me. So I've got about 7 books just on fonts, but this is by far the best one. It's Thinking with Type. And it's all about, for one, so I did an experiment one time to where on one vacation, I read font books to my wife just so that she would fall asleep.
Like listening to NPR.
It was great. Oh, it was great. Some people might say it was torture, but that being said, but that's all about into like the accessibility and like the implications of serif versus non-serif, and kind of why you should never like universally like resize fonts. Like you could, just go with this aspect ratio that's given because, various reasons in the literature, the baseline, different things like that. So, yeah.
All right.
But yeah, this book's probably exactly where they got all that from, because this is like the book everybody reads. Great book.
All right. Well, like I said, if that sounds like a meeting that would be interesting to you, let me know. Go ahead and let us know on the Facebook or shoot me an email, and we will see about getting something like that going. I have a feeling it would be. All right, folks. Well, that is it. Nice, short and sweet. Just like an hour and a half this month. So yeah, not too bad. Well, I'm going to go try to find food, and hopefully I still have a family and my car isn't wrecked because my kids are driving it around my neighborhood. I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you next month. I don't know what the date is for the meeting. Let me check real quick. April 21st. We will see you back. And yeah, have a good night, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
And go watch The Masked Singer. It's on now. So peace out.
Oh, so yes, watch The Masked Singer. DJ did the graphics for it. So yes, there's your plug. All right, everybody. We'll see you next month.